Welcome to the April 2024 Community Commons Change-Making Women's Gathering. I'm Rhonda Bannard. I'm the founder and executive director of Earth Gives. We are a nonprofit working to boost environmental philanthropy and engagement because it's critical that we power up the climate nonprofit ecosystem. As Susan just mentioned, flooding, deluges, we've got all kinds of challenges that we are facing. In February, I had the chance to attend the Green Biz Conference, and it was here in Arizona where I am located. And I try to be courageous in different places and spaces and get to meet and grow my community. And so when many from the conference gathered for an early breakout session, I ended up sitting next to Jessica Gonzales. And it was easy to see that she was someone I wanted to get to know. And so she was definitely on my list to present to us today. She's got an interesting story, and I know that you'll be inspired by a lot that she's going to share. She is not just a roll up your sleeves kind of entrepreneur. She's a roll up your pant legs, get your elbows dirty, and she is shaping new industry offerings. So I know that you have a fan club here already, and I bet that many more of us are going to join that fan club today. So Jessica, thanks for joining us, and take it away.
Thanks for that awesome introduction, Rhonda. And the sentiment is the same. Was really sweet getting a chocolate from you at the event and getting to know you at Green Biz. So I let Rhonda know that I have this cool slide deck I used to use back in my in charge Lux Disinfect days, and it talks about the story of how many business failures I had, which I think is very important to be very transparent about. A lot of people just think it's a very clear road, but it's very challenging. So I'm going to spend some time talking about how I got here, and I'm going to show visuals because those are always fun. And then I'll hop into the really fun stuff as to where we are now and Happen Ventures and all the cool stuff that we're doing. And feel free for anybody to interrupt me, ask me any questions. And, hopefully some takeaways from this, would be how we could collaborate jointly, for a more sustainable future. So I'm just going to dive right in and share with you the beginning. So I was looking at what to name this. The other one was how I built a company with no engineering degree. So I created the name 2 bankruptcies, 2 kids, and 2 legit to quit, because that's literally what I went through in the last few years of getting to where I ended up getting to. So the first company that I started was called In Charged. Got out of college. My dad, who's on right now, luckily let me move back into my old room. And I worked probably 15 different jobs, saved as much money as I could. And all the stuff you see here was me ordering things from Amazon to create this invention and this idea that I had in my head. So the whole concept was a phone charging kiosk. I went to school for advertising that would play a video on the screen while you charge your phone. So instead of advertising being wasteful, I wanted to kind of move advertising into a segment where it's actually giving people things. Little did I know is trying to move in that sustainability thing early on. So I built this with Amazon pieces. Finally, it worked. Learned what I called my associates in entrepreneurship, learned about different metals. It all kind of came together. Showed my dad. He said, Jessica, you're gonna need an engineer. You're gonna burn literally somebody's house down with this. So I got on Craigslist, found an engineer. I learned very quickly how to solder PCB boards, which never knew I'd have to do, but spent all night building the first PCB boards that we used to power these units. This was about 15 years ago. So we didn't have all the resources that we have today. 1, as women, 2, in the internet, and 3, just for building businesses. So a lot of it was just trial and error and Googling all night. The first unit that I ended up building and the first event that I got was a failure. I realized that I didn't ship it correctly. The unit didn't work and it was in pieces once it arrived. So I was like, all right, well, instead of it stopping me, I said, let me continue going. We finally got our first real event, and they gave us $15,000 to create a charging arena for this brand new event called Firefly Music Festival in Delaware. Never seen this much money in my life. I was like, wow, I finally made it, but I only had 2 units. So I flew in my then engineer that I hired off of Craigslist to help me build all these units. We got them done, didn't sleep, and we get to this event. You could see on the right, everybody's phones are plugged in, super excited. And then I realized that people's phones were actually losing charge. I'm like, what is going on? So my engineer ended up telling me that he never had more than 1 phone to test it with. So we built 30 different cell phone charging stations that didn't have the capability to charge more than 1 phone, because he never asked me for more than 1 phone to be able to test it with. So after I told him, he got drunk, ended up passed out in the back of the van, and I had to go to Walgreens and Walmart's to get as many chargers as I could to keep the crowds at bay and be able to continue going. So back to the drawing board. I've already failed, and I'm like, most people would pack up and be like, it's over. I said, no, now we're going to build this right. So I went and got a real PCB board. You can see the little name on there. We're so excited. I was like, wow, it actually has my name, and went back into the lab, started rebuilding this based on all the stuff that was incorrect. Actually used more than 1 phone to test it. And just figured out I'm just going to do it myself at this point. I couldn't trust some engineer to build it out. So I got my hands dirty and just made sure I knew how to build something from scratch. So I was never kind of left in a position where I was before. Had a couple more failures, screens, things like that. But then it started actually working. Started getting a lot of really amazing customers. We were subsidizing just a lot of this power situation with phones not being charged and people going to a place. And now as the whole community started changing into using less paper and more phones to do transactions, we were able to cover that. So I finally got it right, super excited. And now moving on to my next venture, which was Vendex, building a experiential vending machine to the events world, where now instead of having sampling people, you were able to use the screen to answer some questions, play a game, whatever it is that you wanted. And people loved it. Super excited about this product. It was my first inkling into hardware and software being put together. Again, I love physical products and touching things, never went to software school, nothing like that, but we made it work. Worked with companies like Disney, Clear Channel. We got our first investment because I took all the money that I had and reinvested in building this, and then COVID-19 hit. So I had invested all my money into building up Vendex, getting it going, found my first investor to kind of just start pushing it up. And we were slowly starting to get out of that debt and moving on the up and up. We were starting to pitch people, and the world shut down. So as we like to say, COVID-19 messed things up for everybody. This was not only entrepreneurs, this was everybody during COVID. Business owners, people who had families, people who had kids. It was horrendous. And we were an events-based company. So we basically were struggling. Not only that, I had 1 kid at home. My baby mom's is on listening. Hi, Ashley. 1 kid at home, and she was pregnant with our 2nd baby at the time. So the pressure was harder than ever because I cannot fail and lose my house. Being a mom and an entrepreneur has its challenges because you're always juggling between the two, and you're making your kids proud, keeping a roof over their head, and also spending time with them. So in the hopes of not losing my business, I went back to that scrappy entrepreneur mindset and found the last 30 UVC light bulbs in the whole United States and had them shipped to my house. My whole idea was, people couldn't access sanitizer, they couldn't access anything to clean or disinfect. But there's light, and it wasn't, it was sustainable. It could disinfect without using chemicals, and it was ever changing. So you could use these things to disinfect UVC lights. They use it in surgical places, for surgeries. You can use it for masks. You can use it for, we thought everything was all contact surfacey, daycares. We just wanted to open things up. So went to Home Depot every morning and finally started building these little kiosks from what I found on the internet, whatever was able to be delivered, whatever was left. Spent my mornings building this, middle of the day, dealing with the rowdy toddler at home, and broke my nose in that process. But we got through it, and somehow the governor of New Jersey found my name and threw me on to the Restart Recover Commission, which was wild, as I was in my basement, didn't know he even knew I existed. So finally, we built a product. It worked. We were able to help disinfect and clean tons of places all over New Jersey, sell hundreds of thousands of COVID-related products to help people reopen safely. Built this whole product line, and safe to say, welcome baby number 2 in the process, and didn't go bankrupt. So that was a great time. Pivoted, won a bunch of awards, really, moved the needle. But I didn't realize that it was a COVID business. So we got in debt, out of debt, and now back into debt. So when that business grew, I was able to, get everything settled and in a good place. And we didn't realize that people didn't want COVID products anymore. And there was this abundance of things that weren't able to be sold. Everything that we were selling, nobody needed, because now as COVID and that landscape changed, there was less of a need for disinfecting lights, less of a need for air purification systems. All these things were just sitting in my warehouse. And so we ended up being acquired by another business, and I stayed with them for about 1.5 years. But the key indicator of kind of what happened and how I came to Happen Ventures was, in that company, I learned about logistics, and I learned about this abundance of COVID products that was a problem for thousands and thousands of locations. And if there's one thing my dad taught me, is one man's trash is another man's treasure. And after seeing all of the products that were being literally thrown away in front of me, I left that company and built a company called Happen Ventures. The whole concept of Happen Ventures started with the idea of, why are people throwing perfectly good product away that could be repurposed, reconditioned, reused for other reasons? And we were seeing that things like sanitizer, PPE, disinfectants, all had a second life and were very expensive to get rid of, because you can't just landfill it. So we were able to move thousands of trucks of PPE, hand sanitizer, gloves, disinfectants, to nonprofits who were still using it, to compromised communities. Gloves were being utilized by soup kitchens. And in that, we found so much more. And it was so heartbreaking to see that there are things like, I was telling Rhonda, we have a company that was throwing away adult diapers and wheelchairs, that just throw it away because it's cheaper than finding homes for it, or because it's not selling, or because it might have a small dent. So at Happen Ventures, we've built a company based on matching nonprofits and their needs and the products that they need with retailers and items that they cannot sell or returned, or we'll call undesirable items. With that match, we match them both based on need and location. So we're minimizing the distance that this product has to travel. We're doing that now today with technology that we built. We're growing our nonprofit database daily, our vendor database, and also our database with all of our retailers. We recently launched this program, which has been widely successful for retailers, where every retailer We're in about 3 major retailers right now doing pilots. Every one of these major retailers has a box in the back of their store. All the items that they can no longer sell for whatever reason, it was returned, it was off spec, whatever the reason is that they can't sell it, those were all going to landfill or through very costly hazardous waste. Now all these items are being diverted into a benefit box where an associate's placing it in a box, matching specific conditions, making sure that we're not moving waste from one place to another, but things that, you know, are not leaking, things that are not broken, things that could be reused. They might just have a dent or something in it, and nonprofits are coming to pick it up. The secret sauce to our company is the fact that this process alone is up to 80% less than what they were spending on hazardous waste expenses. And when you blend it with hazardous waste and landfill, they're still saving up to 60% of that total bill for waste. Now they're also helping the community. They're getting tax donation receipts, and they're helping be a lot more sustainable. So our whole jam talks about how to reuse instead of recycle. First, think about that. How can this be repurposed? Other really cool programs that we've built, we're working with a large consumer goods conglomerate. They have an overflow of shampoo and conditioner that cannot be used on humans anymore. So we're now diverting all of those truckloads. It's about 150 plus per year. And now they're being used for municipalities to be able to clean their streets. So we're, again, repurposing items, not just on a retail level, but even chemicals and items that are just a little bit more unique. We just finished a really great project with another large waste management company, carbon fiber scraps from windmills. And these items are now being transported to be used inside of pool liners. So again, waste can be repurposed if people just stop for a second and think and research and connect the two. And then also add the little distance piece in there, because you don't want to truck something from California all the way to New York. And we're building technology to bridge that gap that's not been bridged before. Right now, our tech is able to handle large scale donations. We're able to pick up thousands of boxes per month. And the software talks between the nonprofits and the retailers, making it easy. So retailers just have to request a pickup. Nonprofits are alerted. They just put in their little code. They claim a box. They pick it up. All of the data for poundage of diversion is all on this nice impact report, which is great for the sustainability folk because they have to show the value of these programs. And if you're doing good, you want to show it. We are due, if these pilots go well, to be in about 6,000 locations by the end of Q4. And hopefully by the beginning of Q2 and about 10,000 retail locations. That's not including the thousands of trucks to date that we've already diverted of waste from all different types of sectors, from cosmetics to chemicals to medical. Another story that I really love is, and I don't have it up here, we work with a company called Stericycle, and they pick up a lot of medical waste, and they had these bags of IVs that they weren't able to use for human consumption because they were just nearly expired. So we were able to donate those to animal shelters to be able to use them for animal surgeries and dogs that were getting neutered and fixed. So again, just finding the needs where, you know, others are not thinking. Some of the IV bags were also being able to be used, the liquid inside, for agriculture. And then we take the plastic from those bags and then recycle them. So our whole jam is finding solutions for big businesses that have waste and trying to, again, match this too. Another really exciting initiative that I'm sharing today, it hasn't been launched yet, but I think it's important to just talk about the reuse economy and all the bags that are now supposed to be reused and now are becoming single use, and all the plastic banning that's been going on. I haven't seen any solutions for it, so we decided to create one. So we have been pitching actively for a box that we created that will disinfect all the bags that you have accumulated from the plastic ban, these reusable bags. The big issue is you don't want to use somebody's bags as disinfectant. So we're taking our old business, matching it with their new business. And in this disinfectant box, it's called Give a Bag, Take a Bag. I have loads of bags in my kitchen that are just sitting there. I have no place to take them. Maybe I'll put them in my trunk. Maybe I'll remember to go back to my car and get them. But now we give a central place where people can bring all their bags. These bags will be disinfected in the lids. And then you could take a bag and people from Instacart, DoorDash, whoever's going there can reuse these bags that people are bringing without having to buy additional and actually utilizing it for its purpose, which is reuse, not single use, which we've found. And, that's cluttering our landfills right now. So these are another types of projects that we're building at Happen Ventures to solve the problem of single use products, along with disinfecting suits and a bunch of different things. So that's us at Happen Ventures. The key takeaways of, that I just like to say is don't wait, just build stuff. Who cares? It doesn't have to be perfect. Get out of your own way and in your own mind, just do whatever you need to do, and feel like you want to do, fail fast, fail hard, and then pivot, and then be who the hell you want to be and just don't apologize for it. That's it. That's my presentation. Any questions? I stayed in the 20
First,
minutes.
wow. That was amazing.
Thank you.
I love how you're mashing up what you've done before with what you're doing now. That's brilliant. Questions, everyone?
I guess first, congratulations. It's especially hearing a woman's trajectory of entrepreneurship and how we approach these kinds of challenges. And I think another saying that I believe in too is that they're not failures. They're only failures if we don't learn from them. And so you would like epitomize learning from these experiences and instead of shrinking, how to grow through them. And I think that's really important in the environmental space because there's so many powers and structures and systems that are against having this be the moonshot that it needs to be. And people like Rhonda and launching, from scratch an idea and with all the challenges and with, me personally launching a brand new idea in the nonprofit space. It's daunting, but yet we can't not do it. We can't not do it. So I personally would love to chat with you because I have some ideas that your kind of technology and thinking could be adapted to in greening pickleball, particularly because that's my focus on here rather than green grants. Green grants it's a grant maker, and so I don't know if there are pieces of the technology and the thinking that you have, yet it's brilliant stuff. And so kudos to you, and kudos Rhonda for widening your network and being who you are in those spaces to bring somebody like Jessica to us.
Thanks. It takes a team though. I have to say my village is who allows me to be able to build these things, and also be a mom. That's the important thing. Is beyond all that, the human part of it is being able to see my kids and watch them grow up, which is important to me, and not get lost in that. But yeah, you just got to keep going. I always say my thing is you give yourself a little grace, go order that big pie of pizza, watch that Netflix. You could sulk for a day, but then get back to work. You could breathe, just, go down, be all upset about it. And then just give yourself the day, and then next day, brand new, just get back to work.
Who else? Open your mic, ask a question or share a comment, please.
This is Robert. Jessica, what a wonderful, inspirational presentation that you made. I have two quick questions. Balancing being a CEO and founder as well as being a mom, how do you manage this work-life balance, and how do you know where your time is needed the most as you're moving at such a fast pace?
Great question, and thank you for asking that. Because a lot of people, they're like, you're a mom and still getting, food stuck on your shirt in between meetings. So the answer is that there is no perfect answer. The best thing that I feel that I've done is been honest with my support system, my co-parent and partners, my dad, who's helped tremendously with my kids, and also with them, and making sure that I'm present in the times that I'm there with them. That's very important. They just want their mom. I'm not, look, there's the title there and the things that I'm doing here, but at the end of the day, I'm still just mom to them, and they just need time with me. So I have to remind myself. And it's like keeping a bunch of plates up at the same time. Some are going to be higher than others at any given time, but you just got to make sure the important ones don't fall. And I'll never get that time back with my kids. So that's a plate that I always keep up. There's, as you've seen through all these failures and, losing things, opportunity will be there. It will continue to be there. Time with people and loved ones isn't. And the last piece of that, I used to measure success by how much I worked and hustled. And now I measure success by how much time I get with my family and my kids. And I think that we should start changing that narrative a little bit about, yes, you can work hard, but work smart and take care of yourself and your family too. And that, is something I have to continually remind myself, because I just want to build and build and build. And it keeps me grounded.
Oh, I think that's a beautiful perspective. My second question, this is more business focused. You shared your mantra of fail fast, fail hard, and pivot. I think under ordinary circumstances, the majority of business people, both male and female, we're afraid of failure. Failure is a motivating factor that keeps us going. But then when we experience failure, for a lot of people, it paralyzes us, or we can no longer go. Where do you get the strength that once you experience failure, to continue to move forward and to make that pivot?
Well, another great question. I think I always lean on just the mom thing, because it's something that just powers me every single day. Like I don't want to fail my kids, and I want to, provide. It's just like this little instinct inside of me. But before I was a mom, I can't explain, there's just a fire in my butt when I wake up in the morning that like gets me moving and going and motivated. And when I say get out of your own way, a lot of times it's your own mindset that is inhibiting you from being able to go to next and not being scared, or being scared to do something. And so I will do something like, for example, I had severe social anxiety my whole entrepreneur journey, and I just kept showing up to events and speaking and meeting people and talking until I felt comfortable doing it. So putting yourself in these positions where it might be scary, and until it's not, has helped. Showing up and just talking yourself out of yourself has also been helpful, and just continuing to keep going and doing it.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Dad.
One thing that I, can say about Jessica, she's always been like, always, she will show me, oh, this business or whatever. A lot of time, I will always say, yes, it looks a great idea. Sometimes in my background, but, she will then, that didn't work, then go to the next one. So from that, she's been like that since, she was a baby. So that drive is something that has always. And when she started the first company with the vending company, having a technology, engineering background, say that violates every rule, in the book. When you open the box, and that's why she went and got engineers and got, people that to do the proper way. So I think that's one of her, traits, that she's persistent. She has to, focus on the target that she's at, and does it. It's like, she now with this venture moving away and all the stuff, to find the best way to run the business. It's like, yes, I'm gonna invest them, and it's part of her being. And yeah, and and she always
That-
referred to the village. Everybody always, we support her in every way we can.
Yeah, everyone
Jessica,
supports-
I have a question for you. I mean, you had to reach out to some major companies and major entities that you wanted to pitch. How did you go about doing that? Like what made that relationship possible?
I love this question. No one's ever asked me this one. So there was when I ran in charge in all these other companies, I was always too scared to go big. And I didn't realize that I spent just as much time working on all these smaller deals than I would a large deal, like a large organization. I was scared. I felt like, I feel like maybe some imposter syndrome, right? And when Happen Ventures and the concept started, brewing, and I saw these large companies having these very simple problems and fixing it in a way that was just so wasteful. Like there's something in me that just said, I need to go top down. Like if these Fortune 50 companies don't even know what to do with this, and I'm just gonna sit and let it happen. And so I just started cold calling, just emailing, just going after the largest organizations I could, and then working my way down. And people, if you have, I feel, a good message, a good product, and you can save them money, they'll listen to you. We found the right people that have the same values, typically sustainability folk in organizations that truly want to make a difference. And we found that little secret sauce of being sustainable and saving them money. And with that messaging, I don't care who it is. There's such a mission behind it. I don't have fear about reaching out. I just do. And what they say, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I'm just gonna ask, I'll take 100 no's to get that one yes, and I'm okay with that. So it's a mix of a lot of things, but I know I tell my salespeople, I'm like, just who cares? Go. I had I'll share one other story that's really important. I have a lot of my team is from Mexico. Love them, love the culture. Great people. I've given a lot of them chances to grow within their roles. And a few of them, I call them my little rock stars, and I'm so proud of them. And I'm like, call the biggest companies you can. You know what you're doing. You give them a little bit of, confidence fire. They understand the mission. They're really behind it. And people who never might have had a chance to speak to Fortune 50 companies are now running demos for them, and are pulling these very intricate, sustainability initiatives. And, it's anybody can do it. You just have to do it no matter what. You don't have to have, all the plaques on your wall. You don't have to have any clout. You don't have to have all this experience. You just have to have passion, drive, and a set of cojones, as I like to say.
That's a good one. Do you have, go ahead, Susan.
I was gonna say, or ovaries. I don't know what the Spanish word for ovaries are, rather than.
Yeah. Well, I always say ovaries are tougher than cojones. So yes, I agree.
I'll ask a question after you do, Rhonda. Why don't you follow up?
My follow-up to that was then when you do get a Sprouts, do you invite them to connect you to other partners that they might have that could use your services?
So it's a small sustainability world, and we're in this phase of let us prove that we can make a difference. So we're in pilot with a lot of major retailers. I want to show them how many pounds we can divert. I want to show them the process works. I want to them, there is a story. This is my 4th company, but we're still very young. So we're not getting referrals yet. I rather let the work speak for itself. So and again, we've had a lot of success in just reaching the sustainability folk at a lot of retailers and a lot of companies, because this is a prevalent problem. They're just throwing perfectly good things away. It's insane. So I haven't gotten to asking for referrals, which is always a good thing. But through natural networking, people just connect. And also I think the community around sustainability is so warm, and we all have this like core goal at the bottom that we want to do good. So I think organically these connections just happen, and we just want to connect each other. But I haven't asked yet. I want to prove myself first and be able to say, all right, we diverted, this many pounds of waste for you. We've helped this many families. Can you write me a recommendation for, Walmart? And I'm sure at that point it won't be a problem.
Susan?
One of the questions I have, sorry, this is Ruben, my coworker.
Back here.
So in connection with Earth Gives, Rhonda, since there are many nonprofits that are, this is a fundraising, but also so many nonprofits could utilize these products. And I just took a quick look at your website, and that, nonprofits can sign up for free and all that stuff. Are you going to be making an explicit kind of connecting the nonprofits that wind up signing up on Earth Gives to, whether that's as part of their onboarding, just to say that this is an organization? Because I think that knowing about that something like Hidden Ventures exists is really important. So that's one.
So there's so many
Happen Ventures, and yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We are moving so fast that sometimes we just don't make all those connections. So, thanks for pointing it out. We work best with nonprofits that have a physical need for product. So if, there's organizations that work with Earth Gives that, we work predominantly with like homeless shelters, food banks, food kitchens, at-risk homes,
DV shelters.
yeah, tons of like all these different types. And then there's organizations that, are more fundraising based and help others. So if it's a right match, typically we onboard all our nonprofits for free. We're also working now with our app to be able to recommend other nonprofits together. So like interconnecting them, because there are so many needs in so many, areas. So once we get that piece of the app going, definitely would love to connect Rhonda and Earth Gives. And that
I used to be board chair of the Alliance of Arizona Nonprofits. So there's these alliances in most of the states across the country and some up in Canada. And those would be great allies, because they do have all the, homeless shelters and food banks and all of that. So I'd be happy to, and I actually know the head of the national group, the National Association based out of DC. He's about to retire, but he originally was from Arizona. I'm happy to make those connections as well.
Oh, that'd be great. And
Yeah.
I'm when you told me that less than, I think it was 3% of nonprofits are 2% are towards sustainability, it's insane.
Well, not that 2% are towards sustainability, that only 2% of philanthropy goes to environmental nonprofits. And when it comes to climate justice, it's 0.5%.
Wow, yeah. So we want to help change that because not only are we helping through physical goods, but we also are a sustainability-based company. And the nonprofit that we're building out to help fund some of these initiatives, because companies won't make the change without it, being advantageous to their pockets, is working towards that. So there's definitely a lot of alliances and I'm sure a lot of good work that could be done together.
Yep, absolutely.
So the other.
Well, and
Can
go
I ask-
ahead.
Okay, great. And I would love to connect with you, Jessica. It's triggering quite a bit of thoughts for the direction that we were going to go in for Pickleball for Good Fund and the whole greening of pickleball and greening those communities that have the least access and resources to whether play pickleball or green their lives. One of the experiences we've had is shipping repurposed or donated in-kind gifts internationally. We aren't launched internationally, but there was a project in Bhutan, there's some projects in Costa Rica, and the cost of shipping everything from the US there is sometimes more expensive than buying it new and having the retailer. Do you have visions of doing this internationally, and have experience?
So we do it internationally right now. I'll give you a couple examples. So shipping is such a hindrance, and it's terrible because there's so much need outside of the States as well. So a few solutions that we've found are, one, there's some companies that, because their presence is based in the US, they only want the product to be shipped outside because it won't impede their sales. So working with the Fortune 50 company right now in managing their overseas donations, meaning I'll give you an example, like these are products like shampoos, conditioners, body washes that companies, well, that organizations and people in different countries don't have access to. So a lot of those nonprofits, we partner with them and they cover the shipping because they already have containers going back and forth on a lane. So it becomes less expensive, and these are very needed products. So we have partnerships like that, and through their grants, they're able to cover the shipping costs. So the bigger companies are not just throwing it away. So we have to finesse that. That's the financial piece. Other things that we're doing with our software to try to make it easier is, again, just connecting where that waste is coming from to as close as possible, and not waste. We like to call it like undesirable product. So where that undesirable or unneeded product from that company is, and where the closest nonprofit to that product is, to keep the distance both cost effective and less emissions, and being able to kind of fix that problem within logistics. So we've been able to do some of that through just the interconnection. And then one last one that is a really big issue we're trying to make a push on is, because of COVID, there's a lot of these pockets within these states that are building up PPE in case another pandemic happens. The problem that's happening is a lot of this product is becoming expired. But the product that's becoming expired are things like hospital gowns, gloves, things that don't ultimately really expire. They just have to put an expiration date because it's medical. These are hundreds of trucks of products that are going to landfill. So we're working on an initiative with a couple overseas nonprofits that are able to use these medical supplies and be able to not throw them out and landfill them, and make it cost effective because the municipalities don't want to do anything with them other than landfill. So it's a prevalent issue. We're trying to find these solutions. There is a solution there. It's just a matter of talking and finding the right network and the people and the need and the funding to be able to help with all that.
Are you connected to the organizations that are without borders, like Doctors Without Borders and other, because they are international and they could use all of this stuff, and they're in many countries. So it's kind of a hub for getting that kind of material abroad, because they're already doing it. They have to have supplies. So I'm curious.
Yeah, so we've worked with a couple different organizations. So there's also a little bit of, some nonprofits are like really large ones are very specific with the items that they take. And, they won't take anything that has any sort of expiration on it, which is sad because these are like hospital gowns, you know, they've been in perfect condition for 3 years in a bag. So some organizations, believe it or not, will reject a lot of products because it doesn't meet these very specific standards. So where we found the most success are the organizations that don't get this, you know, huge amounts of funding that really need the help. And those are the ones that have been the most successful because they don't have, you know, big budgets to be able to get items, and for them, just getting free truckloads of hospital gowns is saving lives. So the smaller ones have worked the best, and they've been the ones that needed the most. So we tend to say like our jam is working with the forgotten nonprofits that don't get access to these items, the smaller homeless shelters, the smaller overseas medical funds. Those have been the most receptive.
Yeah. that's
Fantastic.
grassroots, right? Right, Rhonda? The grassroots.
Right. Yep. The grassroots.
Well, you think like we're coming from the top up with these large companies and then like the smallest nonprofits to, you know, bridge that together, because all these large nonprofits get the first pick of all these products that, you know, all these organizations are donating. So yeah, the smaller nonprofits are the ones that are forgotten, and it's sad. So we're hoping that this platform being free, we don't charge any nonprofits anything to join. They get prime access to prime products without having to, you know, have this large budget.
Which is so amazing. Wow, Jessica, this has just been so inspiring, and what an amazing journey. I feel ya as a mom, and having to do all that juggle over a good part of my life as well. Kudos to you. Thank you for the grind and the hard work, and for staying focused on the thing that matters, and that's our babies. And we appreciate you. I appreciate everyone joining and hearing her incredible story, and having our first dad as part of this. Yay, Francisco. So great to have you. Well, I think there's going to be many connections to be made out of this, and more to come for sure. So we thank you, and we appreciate everyone joining us for our monthly Community Commons Women Changemaking gathering, and we wish you all the best, and stay in touch. Let us know how we can help you along the way
Together, and I'll be in touch with
Yeah.
everybody from here separately. Thank you all. Have a great day.